What's good, Josh? Your boy J.Brock is Clapitup LA. I'm right here with the homie Rosecrans Vic, y'all. He is a journalist, a manager, and a mentor amongst many other hats. And if you ask him if you should come to LA, he would say don't come to LA, y'all. He is the creator of the Rosecrans Avenue blog. Check him out at rosecransave.com. He has teamed up with comedian Duno and Power 106's Letty for the Brown Bag podcast, which has surpassed 1 million views on YouTube. He's recently released the first song through his own Rosecrans Vic distribution label. That's right, doing big things. And the song is My Brothers by Jakarta Slim and Duno. So make sure y'all tune in to that, and you make sure you tune in to everything Rosecrans Vic got going on. How you doing today, bro?
I'm good, bro. What about you?
Oh man, I'm blessed. I'm finally, look, check this out. I've been hearing your name for years, bro. I've been hearing your name for you, like before I even thought about getting into this game. So to be sitting next to you right now, interviewing you, is a blessing, a complete blessing, bro, on the real.
Nah, I appreciate that. Now, you always had good energy, so, you know, I'm very much an energy type person. Sometimes people reach out online and I'm like, I'm not sure, I don't know this person, and it's nothing personal, you know what I'm saying? But when I meet somebody and they got good energy and good vibes, it's like, yeah, bro, come on, let's do it. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. You know, I've heard you speak on that on several occasions. You know, on building your brand on basically the right things, not no foolishness, not no craziness. And one thing I've understood since I've been coming around is that y'all got a lot to lose. Y'all can't trust everybody. You know, you can't work with everybody because you don't know who they are. So until you know, that's when things get comfortable. So, but you know, I shout out to Silas because Silas told me that, you know, you got to make sure you don't be in your feelings about this stuff. Don't take it personal
at all.
You don't know what's going on. But you know, hey, we here today, and that's I'm gonna clap it up for myself, man. Hey, look, I earned this interview right here. You earned this interview.
You've been going crazy. That's why you know I made that tweet the other day because I really mean it. And
appreciate that.
The thing I respect the most is consistency, and you've been consistent. Like, you know, the minute I started hearing your name, you didn't go away. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so salute to you for that, because it's like, you know, you see some people sometimes they do something cool, and then you be like, man, I wish that person would have kept going, or I wish they would have, like, you know, stayed, you know, through it. But like, you know, people have ups and downs and whatever. You don't want to fault them for that. But like, as somebody who's just been through it all up until this point, it's like, yo, man, mad shit happened to me, bro. Dad heart attack, mom had a stroke, like all this shit, and I still made sure that I didn't stop what I was doing, because you can find any excuse to stop. You know what I'm saying? But you can always power through as well. Right.
Well, see, that's the thing we gotta attest to, finding out what we really want to do in this life. Because I feel like I went through that period where once football was over with, I'm sure a lot of athletes can relate. It was like, what else am I gonna do? I'm working a 9 to 5. I'm not happy. I'm listening to these people tell me what to do, like they my mom or my dad. And I don't like that. So I had to try all kind of different things, in which I was very inconsistent. I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do, but I had to try it. I dealt with criticism, like you know how that goes. But when I got here, I told myself I'm never gonna stop. This is the only thing that makes me happy.
That's awesome,
for real, bro. So you know how that goes. So to anybody out there, hey, you got to find yourself. Everybody has their own path to do that. So now, my guy Vic, family from Chicago. The crazy situation is everybody's looking for a job. The only person to find a job is grandma. That's why Rosecrans Vic is here today, y'all. Had grandma found a job, Rosecrans Vic would have been way somewhere else.
Basically, like my family is originally from Mexico. Both sides of my family from Jalisco. And in particular, like my dad's side, his mom and her family, they came over to LA. She's one of like 10 siblings, and
big family.
They were all looking for jobs. Nobody could find a job except my grandma. So my grandma stayed in LA. The rest of my family moved to Chicago, and this all happened like in the 1970s.
That is crazy.
So you know what I'm saying. So luckily, you know, we stayed in LA, and then now I'm telling people not to come here. You know.
Ain't that so? What do they call that? Is that a what Schoolboy Q project name? It's one of them words, but that's like a contradiction. Oxymoron, bro. Like you were able to stay, and you tell me you don't want nobody to come back. But no, it makes sense. Look, man, it's too much traffic already.
Too much traffic.
It's too much traffic, and then the LA Rams ain't do nothing but quadruple that. So you already know how that is. Now, okay, here's the thing. When you think about the path that you have taken, or the way things unfolded, do you ever think about what if that didn't happen?
Sometimes, I feel like, you know, like I have a lot of family, cousins my age in Chicago, and the Midwest is like so different than the West Coast in so many ways. Like, you know, they have a slower pace of lifestyle. Like a lot of my relatives, like they get married at like 24, 25, settle down, and it's a beautiful thing. They have a beautiful family, and I love it. You know, they work good jobs. A lot of them go to 4-year colleges. Like my path was completely different. You know what I'm saying? Like I had a son at 21. I didn't finish college. It was just completely different. You know what I'm saying? Than they have, and they're doing good for themselves. I love them to death. I visit them, you know, at least minimum once a year. But my life would have just been different. It wouldn't have been terrible. It just would have been way different.
It would have been a lot different, yeah. But you know, shout out to family, and keeping in touch with them. Now the thing is, you didn't go too far away from Chicago, because one of your biggest influences is Andrew Barber, the owner of Fake Shore Drive, who was in Chicago, which would inspire you to start your own platform in 2014 in a broom closet at Long Beach City College. Now, when you explain why the broom closet, what was going on? Why the broom closet?
So basically, you know, I went to Long Beach City College. I started in like 2010, right after high school, and I had an idea of what I wanted to do, but I wasn't necessarily sure. Like I first took a newspaper class, so I started writing for the school newspaper. It was cool, but it was like kind of boring, like very monotonous. Like you can only write in a certain way. You can't really have any color in the things you're saying. It has to be very matter of fact. Very limited, you know what I'm saying? And I'm a person that I'm very creative, so I want to like sizzle some shit up and use some alliteration in my writing, and you know, call things that they shouldn't be called. But to me, it makes sense with language, the way like it's so fluid. Like you'll understand it. You know what I'm saying? I like more magazine style writing, blogging, stuff like that. So you know, I tried everything out. I did like the TV news as well. Like I was like anchor on the TV news channel, took like production classes, just, you know, anything that like the radio and TV building had to offer, I was taking it. And then I settled on radio, and then I'm like, okay, let me see what radio's about. And then so I get there. The only classes I could take were at night because I was working like you know, 9 to 5 full time. So I get a night class, and like my class was not allowed to use the big studio. We had to use the little studio, and it used to be a broom closet, and they converted it into a recording studio. So they had like Studio A and Studio B. So I was in Studio B, and it was like the tiniest shit. The equipment was cool, you know, we could use it and everything, but like, you know, trying to get, you know, guests in there was like difficult. We used to have a cameraman. He used to literally like, and he was a big dude, bro. Like he was no, he might have been 300 pounds, bro. I'm not gonna lie. He had to sneak behind the computers, set up the camera, and just stand there for like 30 minutes to an hour, however long the interview. Bro, he guessed, bro. Yes, shout out to Charles, bro.
Hey, like, shout out Charles.
Shout out to Charles, man. This shit don't happen without him. So I started in you know, in 2014. Like I started just doing my own show, solo. I didn't have a brand for it or anything. I was just like testing it out, and then when I went to my second semester of doing it, that's like in between, you know, that time from like the first semester and the second semester, I came up with like the concept for Rosecrans AVE and like blogging and making it Rosecrans Radio, and then also integrate it to online. So like, you know, I can promote that I'm gonna do my radio show every, I don't know if it was like Mondays or Wednesdays, and then, you know, have things online in the meantime, and then make like an Instagram for it, and like just kind of like the whole concept came together, you know what I'm saying, in 2014. But it was like from me being in that little broom closet and trying to express myself with words, like while I was speaking on the radio, which I had like maybe a listener or two if I was lucky, but I couldn't really say what I wanted to because it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. I didn't have enough experience. So I was like, why don't I just write shit down and, you know, say it like that? And then I was just like, well, why am I throwing these notes away? Why don't I throw them online? You know what I'm saying? So it kind of came from that.
Well, I understand that. But see, the thing is, one of the things you spoke about back then was like you felt like you sucked.
I was terrible.
You felt like you didn't know what questions to ask.
Oh, I was so terrible.
But it's all a part of the process. Ain't it all a part of the process?
Yeah, of course.
The thing is, it's the growing pains. You, at some point, you ain't perfect. You ain't gonna be the best, but you have to grow that muscle. Yeah. So when you think about those days, what was a moment where you thought like you if you think back, what was a moment where you could have just left it alone?
There was plenty of times. I mean, you know what happens too is like, you know, so for a long time you can suck and you're not really thinking about it. You're just kind of just, oh, I'll get better. So time goes by, you don't really have any expectations. But you know what really kind of like hits you, what at least hit me was like when you start to gain a little success and then you might like hit a wall. And then so now you're like, well, I've never hit this wall before. I think I just want to quit. You know, and it's just little things like, it could be a combination of just like, you know, financial shit, stress, home life, while you're trying to do this thing, and then you start to be in perspective and you're like, oh shit, I did this for like 3-4 years and, you know, I don't really have any money to show for it or this and that. And it's like, there's equity built, but you can't take it out and show it to anybody and be like, look what I did. Like people aren't going to understand unless you know what I'm saying? So like, it was maybe like a time like in 2017 where maybe I was just kind of like, I don't know. I think I had like a little bit of success, but I was just like, maybe I should just like stop all this shit, you know, maybe I should just, you know, pack it up and, you know, but like I've never been good at quitting. That's why I don't do drugs, because like I'm not like I'm just never been good at. I swear to God, like I'm not a good quitter, bro.
No,
like I swear to God, bro, I don't do drugs for the same reason. I'm like, well, what if I can't stop? I'm not a fucking quitter.
You know, don't even try it. Don't even try it. Yeah, facts. Don't even try it.
You know what I'm saying?
I understand that now. Now when things go full circle again, back to my guy Andrew Barber, you guys were actually in the Land magazine together, in which your articles were one page away from each other. So what was it? So before you did this, did you know that he was going to be in that magazine? How did this work out?
No, I had no idea. I had no idea. So shout out to Andrew, because I actually met him at South by Southwest 2019, and he showed a lot of love. I literally was like gushing. I was like, bro, you don't understand. Like I did this.
Hey, Vic don't seem like the type of guy that be gushing. He don't seem like that.
But because it's like, you know, if he wouldn't have started Fake Short Drive, like I wouldn't have done Rosecrans. Like that was simply like an offshoot of that, you know what I'm saying? And my ties to Chicago were like directly, you know, influenced by that. I'm like, if Chicago has that, why can't LA have that? Right. You know, that was just kind of my whole thing. So, you know, I let him know, and he was hella cool. But yeah, you know, we talk here and there. And so I did this Land magazine thing. And, you know, as like a writer for a magazine, like you don't know who else is writing in it. You don't know where you're going to be placed. You literally turn in a Google Doc and send it off to the editor, and then the editor will do his thing with that. And then the designer will then go in and then put you somewhere. So, you know, just the like serendipitous, you know, way that like I open the magazine and I'm just like looking at it and I'm like, oh, it's tight. Like I'm right here, like, you know, number something. And then I look over to the other page and then it's like a guest spot, because the Land magazine is typically for writers from LA, or at least like it doesn't have to be necessarily LA natives, but like writers that are like really like based here. You know what I'm saying? And like Andrew's based in Chicago, so I'm looking. I'm like, Andrew Barber wrote here, and I wrote here. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, and we're, you know, it to me it just showed like my hard work has gotten me, you know, next to people I really admire. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like a really humbling moment for sure.
That's a beautiful feeling, because one of the things recently, December, I had met Wallow and Gilly. If you follow me, you know what I do. Right. So I started doing this before I knew who Wallow was.
Oh, really?
And then my boy had DM'd me one day like, bro, you remind me of him. You should check him out. So at first I wasn't messing with it, but then one day I was feeling lonely, because I'm a motivational speaker. Like who really cares to look at that type of stuff, right? But I mean, people do. And one day I just went back to Wallow and saw like, damn, he got 700,000 followers. This is really what he do. So he made me not feel alone. So when I met him and interviewed him that day, bro, before I did it, I had the homie was like, bro, you need to go to the show. I'm like, man, whatever. Anyway, but when I decided to go, I said, I'm gonna meet Wallow, I'm gonna connect with him, I'm gonna network, and that's what happened. That's so manifestation. That was something. That was the biggest moment in my career this far, bro. And that was something else to me.
That's awesome, bro.
Yeah, for real. And like my boy was like, bro, you got to understand, y'all paths were destined to cross. And I thought about that, like that's. Y'all path were destined to cross. You know, that's something. That's how it is.
Everybody has, you know, their own path.
Facts. So you didn't and like I said again, he didn't go too far from his Chicago roots, because you had a cousin in Chicago who would put you up on a lot of rappers, like Chance the Rapper, Chief Keef, things like that. And then what you understood was that this came to you. You didn't have to go get it; it came to you.
Yeah.
So when you first heard Chance, what was like one of the first songs you heard from Chance the Rapper?
From Chance the Rapper, there's this song that's not out anywhere. It's called Betty Bye.
Okay.
And it was so I don't know if a lot of people know this, but like Chance the Rapper's father was you know, really tight with Obama, right? So like he was on his campaign team. So when Obama won in 08, Chance was going to high school. I believe he was a junior, and he was actually gonna go to DC with his dad to be on the cabinet. So he was like leaving Chicago and he was hella sad. So he wrote a song called Betty Bye about how much he was gonna miss Chicago.
Oh wow, yeah.
For whatever reason, he didn't end up leaving, and I don't know if that song actually ever came out or it might have been just like on, you know, like the early shit where you can just download the song, like whatever the like live mixtapes or whatever. Yeah. But this was like 2009. I don't know.
Yeah, like
2010, 11. Yeah. I don't know. Something like it was very early, right? So like I heard that song and it was just funny because my cousin, shout out my cousin Goose, he was just like he played it for me like oh yeah, like this is my homie Chancellor.
Chancellor.
Like, you know, like this is my guy. Like you know, he's third period. Like we have third periods together. And then I'm like, oh okay, let me hear it. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And then you know, time goes on, and then it's like, yo, you know, he's texting me because you know we just like music a lot and shit. So he's like, yo, Chance was kind of like blowing up, and then I start to see like his name on the blogs and stuff, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Like your boy's blowing up. He's like, yeah, I told you, bro.
Bro.
So it was just so early. You know what I'm saying? And I got to hear like some shit that probably, you know, never even came out. I'm not even sure, but he had it on his iPod.
An exclusive though. That's crazy. Yeah. Shout out to bro, man. That's crazy. So also you would actually discover Tyler the Creator as well from a friend, right?
Yeah.
And you said you would actually watch the videos on YouTube. You discovered Odd Tyler's, things like that. And this is where you begin to start to want to tell people about this stuff. Like when they blew up, you're like, damn, I wish I could have told somebody. So how much more of that like made you eager to be able to start your own platform to make sure you put this talent out?
I mean, when that happened, it was like I was just super like just tapped in and just always looking for new artists just to listen to. I had no real intentions of doing anything with that. I did know that I wanted to get into like journalism, but I knew I love music, but I never thought of like combining them until one day it just kind of hit me, and I'm just like, oh shit, why don't I just combine my two loves? You know what I'm saying? And so it just kind of like hit me when I looked back, and I felt like my whole life I was getting prepared to do what I'm doing now. So it wasn't necessarily in the moment that I'm like, oh, I mean, it would have been cool to like share it and stuff like that, but like I didn't have a platform, so who would I have shared it to?
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But after I created the platform, I was just like, yo, I'm doing this, but I feel like I've been doing it my whole life in the first place, because I would be the type of person to like burn CDs and, you know, play them for myself and try to put them in a certain order, and also like, you know, send new music to somebody, like a girl I was talking to or something, you know, like, yo, listen to this song, and they're like, oh, you just put me on this. So I've been doing that for my whole life, and I just didn't realize that you can actually make a job out of it, a career. You know what I'm saying? Like, once I realized that, I'm like, oh shit, okay, this is perfect.
That feels good though when somebody's able to tell you, bro, you put me on him, and they actually doing that. That feels really good. Now, okay, 8-year-old Rosecrans Vic, Walkman, Eminem. Now we know Eminem is a pretty blunt rapper. You know what I'm saying? So what type of influence did that have on you, or why was it Eminem? Were you like a big fan of Eminem?
So I mean, I feel like when he came out, it was you know, obviously like the my name is like the high pitched tone, the, you know, the comedic factor that it had to it, the videos. It was like, I don't know if he was catering to kids, but kids were like, yo,
it was very inviting.
You know what I'm saying? I was like, yo, what the fuck? This is the coolest shit ever, right? So I started listening to him, and on the radio, you know, you start hearing on the radio, and then it's like the Dr. Dre co-sign. Like my parents put me onto Dr. Dre and Snoop and shit like that. So like I'm like, oh, he's part of them. You know, then they play like 2001 in the car, and like he's on some of the songs. So I just started to grow a real liking for him. And one day, it's so funny, like my cousin, so my parents would have never bought me that CD because they hear all the bad words and shit, and parental advisory and shit like that. But like my cousin, shout out my cousin Kevin, his parents didn't really give a fuck like that. You know, they didn't monitor what he did. So he somehow got the Marshall Mathers LP, and he was like playing it for me, and then he left it at my house, or I ended up with it. I don't know how it happened, but like I kept it. I didn't say nothing. I didn't try to give it back to him. I just started playing it in my Walkman. I had won a Walkman at my dad's company picnic.
Oh wow,
at, like, Knott's Berry Farm one day. It's random, you know what I'm saying? So like, I didn't even like, my parents didn't even buy that for me. It was literally like gift from God. Looking back, to you know what I'm saying? It came to me. So like, you know, then I had the Walkman, and you know, ever since then I had like, you know, asked my parents to buy me CDs and stuff like that, but they wouldn't want to buy me the super explicit ones. Luckily, you know, snuck a copy of my cousin's.
No, that's crazy how that happened again. Things come to you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So you speak on your first act of independence being at Al's Market with the green Jolly Ranchers and the brown bag, right?
Yeah.
Then you would go outside and step on a rose in the concrete. And I heard Tupac talking about this the other day on 93.5, I believe.
Yeah.
And he was saying like, you gotta admire the beauty of a rose growing through the concrete like that. It's just so crazy that happens.
Yeah.
So take us through that, and if there is any significance to the fact that that's the name of your podcast.
Yeah, I mean that's really a trip. So like I told a story on my Instagram of like when I was I was like, I don't know, 7, 8 years old, and probably like a little younger. You know, this is like the 90s, so it was like okay to let your 6 or 7 year old out to the market and, you know, go get me some you know, some milk, or go get me some, you know, give this to the guy at the store. Like it was like, and plus like where I grew up in Lenox, it was very community based. Like everybody knew each other for the most part. So it wasn't, I don't know, like I don't know all my neighbors these days. You know what I'm saying? It's a little different. Like it's harder, but to grow like a community. Do you think it's because of like the technology now? Yeah, like, you know, and you know, people just don't really care to go outside and meet their neighbors and grow a relationship with them. People stay inside and watch Netflix and shit all day and on their phone. You know what I'm saying? He blamed it on Netflix, y'all. But, I mean, come on, think about it. Like we're all a lot more socially awkward these days, and before it was like a point, like, oh, let me see what the neighbors are talking about. Let me see if I like this guy. You know, and now we just form opinions on them. We try not to even talk to them. You know what I'm saying? But you know, it was like a block away. Al's Market was a block away from where I lived. So I walked up the street, you know, got like a, you know, I asked my mom, can I please go by myself? Can I please? I've always been very independent. I used to pour my own cereal, my milk and shit like that. And so I was like, Mom, can I please go? Yeah, okay. Can I have some money? Okay, cool. Boom. Went to the store, and I just had like this memory of me getting like the Jolly Rancher and putting it in the brown bag and just being extra happy about it, running home and being like excited, like, wow, I just did something. I did that by myself. Nobody helped me, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I told that story on Instagram where I went back to Al's Market 20 something years later, and I did a little photo shoot with my guy Miguel, and it was just like cool to just be back in that element, be back in the vibe. Like I was kind of going through a rough patch in my life at the time, so just kind of brought me back to my roots. And you know, as we're walking out, my guy Miguel's taking photos of me and stuff like that. And after we're done taking the photos, I looked down and I had accidentally stepped on a rose on the concrete, and I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, where did that rose come from? And that was like very kind of eerie to me. I made sure to have Miguel take a photo of that. And you know, I did write in the description, like spoke about the brown bag, that didn't mean anything at the time, I thought, you know what I'm saying? But looking back now, it's just like, that's weird. You know, like the fact that, you know, I used that phrase, and that was way before the podcast was even thought of. That was way before I was even that close to Letty or Duno, you know what I'm saying? So it was just kind of like, looking back, things seem to always tie back to something else in the past, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I can relate to that too, because like a while ago I had made a video about clapping it up for yourself, right? Before I thought about making that my brand, and I still be thinking about that video like, wow, that became my brand. Like, I did not expect that. It's like a subconscious thing, bro. You don't even know it's all in there. It's just waiting to come out when the time is right. Facts. And then I've been hearing that since I was a kid playing football. They would say clap it up after every practice. That's the way that things go. Now you have something about roses, because you have a rose even on your hat. So what is your thing? what makes a rose so special to you? You know, as you spoke of like the Tupac thing, I think that's always you know, something I've always thought about, like, you know, the rose that grows from concrete, you know, something that comes from nothing, something that defies the odds, you know what I'm saying? As well as I've always loved the color red, grown up on Rosecrans like my whole life, so it just kind of all tied in, and it's, you know, it's a cool like thing to just to tie everything in, you know. There's like ways, like as you have like the clap it up, there's like 3 emojis you can use on your iPhone, like you kind of have to do things like that, you know. Gunna's pushing P with the P emoji, like there's a rose emoji, you can use that, it's tangible, like it makes it easier to kind of brand and market. So and I just got this yesterday.
No, that's
I
sick,
saw it.
bro.
I liked it. Yeah, I'm like, oh, this looks dope.
That's sick. That's sick. Yeah. So I agree with that. So for those of you who may not have ever known that, then you know that about Rosecrans Vic, the significance behind the rose. Now you going to work this whole time. 2017, you starting to work with Shoreline Mafia. You said you would introduce them to media, and because of going to different shows and things like that, you began to build a relationship with Adam 22. You would actually interview Adam 22, which later would lead to Mad Lately, right? And Mad Lately, we would get that with Gabe C and Gina Views. Shout out to both of them, which started in October of 2020 and ran through June 28th of 2021. So building Mad Lately, I know you kind of had some time. You kind of had a couple days to put it together.
Yeah.
And the name came to you from a dream. So how often do you like have these dreams and act on them, or how often do you even listen to your dreams?
I mean, I definitely listen to my dreams whenever there's like, I feel like there's like a message in there, but it doesn't happen too often. At that time, I was really looking for like a name for the podcast. I was just like, you know, it usually takes me a few days. I'll start to just go through, you know, things, looking for inspiration. I might watch a movie. I might, you know, look back at like old videos, listen to old albums, like seeing what words fit next to each other, try to tie it in, try to like create a brand for it. And I don't know, I was sleeping one day, I woke up and I heard like Mad Lately, and then it had like some like reason why behind it, but I can't really remember exactly why. But I just remember waking up and being like, Mad Lately, that sounds kind of cool. Okay, the LA, it's right there next to each other. It's subtle. I didn't want to be like the LA show with Rosecrans Vic, or you know what I'm saying? You never want to be too obvious. At least I don't. You know, some people want to put like LA in their brand name and stuff like that's cool, but I always try to be not so obvious. You know, with Rosecrans, it's a if you know thing. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you're from LA, you know Rosecrans is, so I don't even have to explain it. You know what I'm saying? If you're not, you'll learn. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But
understood. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was it just came to me in a dream, and I mean, it doesn't happen too often, but when it does, I'm thankful. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. Yeah, and I understand that, and I've had dreams that I've acted on, made them come true.
Yeah.
Same thing, even with my brand, it came from a dream. Things like that.
Now,
for those of you who don't know, Mad Lately, what he's saying is up to date. You know, like that's Mad Lately, like that just happened yesterday. Yeah. So if you haven't tuned in, it's still up there, so make sure you tune into that. Now, what was it like, you know, being able to work with Gina Views and Gabe C on No Jumper? What type of lessons did you learn that, you know, catapulted the Brown Bag podcast? What are some of the things that you remember that were very important?
Man, I love Gina, I love Gabe, miss them. I miss being able to see them like weekly and just bullshit. Before, during, after the show, it's always good to like see them. We still have a group chat, you know, we'll chop it up with each other. I FaceTimed them when I was in New York, you know, chopping it up. But what I learned from them is that like, we were 3 people, we were the talent, and we should have just been the talent. We were trying to, and I was trying to do everything myself, and like, I didn't know that like, in order to have a successful podcast, like you need a pretty large team, or if you don't have a large team, you need other people that can play multiple roles, wear multiple hats. Mad Lately was us 3. You know what I'm saying? We had the homie Ramp help out here and there, but like we needed a social media person, we needed a clip maker, we needed a producer, we needed like a lot of components that I didn't know we needed at the time. But now with doing the Brown Bag podcast, I see why we're thriving, why it's going so well, because me, Letty, and Duno are, for the most part, allowed to just be talent. And as, you know, a talent, you need to you're better when you're just able to focus on the task at hand. You know, when you have to worry about the other stuff, I mean, you know, you're still like a one-man show, and it's like, just takes a little longer, it's a little more of a headache, but you'll see like as your team grows, you're gonna be a lot more relaxed. you're gonna be able to do a lot more things, have a lot more room for creative ideas. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, you're creative.
Right, exactly.
Right? So like, that's your role. You're having to do everything else because you're building it. You know what I'm saying? And I was at a point like that too. And people are gonna start to see. You're gonna start to like get people that believe in you, and they're gonna be like happy as hell to work for you and partner with you and help you out and stuff like that. And then you're gonna see like, oh yeah, okay, look, it was taking me longer to do this and do that because of this, and I'm able to do this now, and I just got this great idea that can have a meeting with my team and act on it now.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
So that's why they say
part of the process.
Yeah, that's why they say teamwork makes the dream work.
Absolutely.
But, I feel like we all have to do so much by ourselves for so long. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because first of all, it's like you have to prove to God that you are capable of what God sent you here to do.
Exactly.
And whatever it is, you got to do it.
Yep.
So now you considered actually this kind of a failure because of only going for so many episodes and things like that. But like we said, you have to go through those moments to even be successful.
Yeah.
Now, Rosecrans AVE taught you the art of completion. Now, you said even on your off days, you would spend all day writing. You would be at lunch, at work writing and things like that. So why do you feel like, what made you be so dedicated to writing? Because I know writing it got to be difficult sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I really honestly, I've always loved writing. I love words. I love putting words together. I love how fluid language is. Like, I'm like such a nerd for that. Like, One Take Jay just released a song with Blueface called Her Bad, and he said a line that I thought is genius, and I was trying to break it down to the homie, and he's like, no, it's stupid. And I'm like, nah, bro, it's genius. He said, I only let my bitch say my name.
Yeah, okay, so he let his bitch say his name.
It's so profound to me because it's like, okay, like he's saying that like he has bitches, right?
Yeah.
He's saying a lot in that one sentence, and he's saying it with repeating the same word 4 times. Like he's like repeating a word twice and then repeating another word twice. So basically he's saying he has a bitch, but his main bitch is the only one that cannot call him One Take J, but call him by his real actual name.
Yeah, it is kind of
right. You know what I'm saying? That's saying a lot, and that's funny, and that's like has a comedic element to it. So again, I'm a nerd with this shit. Like I analyze this shit. So like I love writing. I have a real passion for it. And I knew I needed to get better. I knew I needed to stay up to date. I knew I needed to build a foundation, and it couldn't wait. I didn't want to be passive with it because, if I'm not, somebody out there is gonna outwork me.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? If I'm like lax, somebody else is gonna come, take my spot or whatever. I mean, that's something I thought was like a real thing. Now I don't really feel the same way. I feel like everybody has their own. Yeah. But it's kind of a thing that you just think like when you're still coming up, you have so much further to go. You're like, damn, I want to hurry up and get there. You know what I'm saying? And so.
Ooh, I understand that.
You know what I'm saying? So it was more so like, I just want to like get better. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to stay at my job. The less I write, the longer I'll be at my job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? The less moves I make, the longer I'll be here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The longer I'm not living the life I want to live. Yeah, so it was just like this tenacity, this passion that I've had, and I mean still have, but I'm able to relax now a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like
you established yourself so long. And I can relate to that too, because even being at my job, there was a moment at my job where I got really pissed off, and immediately I thought to myself, it's either you do everything that you're thinking about or you settle for this for the rest of your life. Yeah. And honestly, that's what a lot of us come down to. And like I was telling my girl, I said, you know what, I think of like those older people that are really bitter. I said, I think they like that because maybe they didn't do what they thought about. Yeah. Maybe they settled for that 9 to 5 and work their butts off and it's still not living a life. So to anybody out there, listen to that feeling. You know what I'm saying? If you got to work the job and do it. It's possible. It's very possible. So, here's the thing right here. When did you realize that you had a love for writing?
I mean, probably like sometime in like high school, I knew I liked it. Like those were like the assignments I enjoyed the most. Like I got really good scores on my vocabulary tests and.
Oh, so that just came to you too?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. It was just like, it was like I was good at it. Like, and when I really like knew I liked to write, I guess when I just felt like I was getting, I mean, I already knew I liked to, but like once I knew I started getting like better, that like made me so happy. I'm like, yo, I'm writing how I always wanted to, but it wasn't matching up because my sentence transitions weren't as good, or I wasn't using the right words, or the sentence structure was kind of funky or whatever. But I've really always loved writing, honestly. Like that's always kind of been my creative outlet. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So.
I got you. Yeah, that's a deep one, because man, I've written essays in college and definitely didn't have a love for that. I'll tell you that. Now here's the thing. Like, okay, you spoke on being the laziest person at the job, right? But the whole time still working on your business. Yeah. And I feel like I was the same thing, but then you got to deal with people's judgment of you at work, and it's like you don't know what I'm doing. Here's the thing: when you work in a job and following your dreams, you got two jobs actually. You know what I'm saying? You gotta work your job, then get off of work and follow your dreams. So, how long did it take you to really understand, or like get to that point where it was like, you know what, I don't even care about this job no more. I just want to focus on me.
Well, everything I really did since I started working full time was intentional. To be honest, like I didn't do anything on accident. I started working at. So basically, like once I knew my son was on the way, I'm like, okay, I was working part-time at a bank. Then I'm like, okay, I need a full-time job. So I got a job at a bank, and I was working full-time there. But I specifically like picked banks because I knew you go in at a certain time, you get out at a certain time. Okay. You don't have to take that work home with you. The job isn't incredibly hard. It's not like construction. It's not things you have to do like physical labor, right? So I'm like, okay, I can do this, and still work on my dreams. I can still go to school after. So from there, I went to like another job, and then that's where I was like writing on my lunch break and all this stuff. Even during work, I was supposed to be doing, but whatever. And so I just always like knew. When I got to Wells Fargo, I just felt like I was a lot closer. I'm like, okay, I'm hoping. I mean, honestly, I told myself this is gonna be my last job.
Ain't
this is gonna be my last job.
Ain't that a feeling that you get? It's crazy.
I had it. I was like, this is my last. This is my last job. Yeah. And I thought I would be there for like a year or two. Like, I have a son, so I never was just gonna outright quit and be like, oh, I'll figure this shit out. I always wanted to have like a good runway, a good setup, so that he would be taken care of if things didn't work out for a few months or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I knew I had to work at a bank because I knew it would give me the flexibility to do what I wanted to do, and also just learn, how to. Basically, I was a personal banker, right? So a person would come in, they want to open a new account. I was interviewing them. In my head, pretty much, I'm interviewing them, right? And that's practice, that's reps. You know what I'm saying? So everything I'm doing is intentional. Oh, how are you doing today? How are you feeling? I'm practicing my interview questions on these people who think I'm doing this job, but in reality, I'm preparing for my next job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, beautiful.
So that's kind of how I kept it, and I just knew like, okay, this is gonna help me get to where I want to go. So.
Well, that's true dedication, because people got to understand, like we said, even though you got a full-time job, you still got to make room for what you want to do. Because if you don't, it ain't gonna get.
I was the laziest person at work. At my job, but I was the hardest worker in the building.
Facts.
Basically, what I'm saying? Like,
outside of what they see, you know what I'm saying, in their opinion. But, I can relate to the whole interviewing thing too, because I'll be just having conversations with people, and my friends would be like, look at you interviewing this person.
It comes natural.
It's a natural thing, bro. It's crazy. So 2018 was the beginning of Don't Come to LA?
Yep.
Okay, now, you put this together, right? With thinking about things, pretty much about like one of the situations was like a publication who brought out LA Weekly, which would actually take it to South Orange County and do what they did with it. And then also,
it was kind of the other way around. Like people from South Orange County came and bought LA Weekly, and like essentially like fired the whole staff, came into the building and started posing as like, we're LA Weekly, when it's like, no, not really. You know what I mean? That would be like somebody coming in here, buying it from Cypress and then still calling it Catch Gallery. And then it's like, it's not Cypress shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's not Catch Gallery no more. You name it something else type shit. So because of that, Jeff Weiss, he's my OG, my mentor. So he was a writer for the LA Weekly. They tried to fire everybody except him. They wanted to keep him on board, and he was like, "Fuck you guys!" Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he has integrity. He's gonna go with everybody else. So during that time, it was just like a lot of frustration for him personally on that side, as well as like for me, where I'm on Twitter seeing people diss LA, come here and say, man, fuck LA, LA sucks, I hate it here, it's dirty, it's nasty. And then me being like, well, don't come here then.
Facts.
If you're just gonna come shit on a city and use it for its resources and leave, and then, you know, this is also the time where there's a lot of YouTuber, TikTokers, you know, just these people that, okay, cool, do your thing, but you're gonna shit on it. You're also not gonna give back to the communities.
Right.
And that always bugged me too. It's like, okay, these people living lavish lifestyles. Okay, cool, do what you want. But you're never gonna get a feeling, you're never gonna like think that like, you know what, I'm making all this money doing this stupid ass dance and I'm living in this city and I don't wanna give back to the people who are actually from here, the people who actually need it. You know what I'm saying? Instead, I'm gonna like swim in a pool of money and make a funny video out of it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I mean, that's how I was feeling at the time. You know what I'm saying? I was just really sick of it.
It's your city, bro. Like,
I took it personal. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was that time I had those feelings. Jeff had those feelings. We're talking. We had already done a concert, you know, in Echo Park, and we like, you know, sold it out. Monday night we had Greedo, Ralphie the Plug, Desto Dub, everybody come out. Cypress as well, spinning, and we did that. That was the first Don't Come to LA, but we didn't have a name for it yet.
Yeah.
That was like the first time we came together for a concert, and we did that. And that created a vibe that like we went on to create again with the first Don't Come to LA. So it was just like that mixture of that, brainstorming ideas, and you know, we went back and forth, and Jeff was like, "Don't Come to LA," and I was like, "That's it, right there.
That's it, right? The name. Just naturally came.
That's the name. Don't say any more names. That's the name.
That was it. Now speaking of Jeff Weiss, you know, coming together with him for that show, and then also Jeff Weiss, you said he made you more so a partner.
Yeah.
Now, how was it connecting with Jeff Weiss, and you know, where did you begin to understand that you even got influenced by him?
So it was like he randomly hit me up, maybe like I want to say like April or March, like early in like the year of 2017, and I was just like, yo, I was already like following him and reading all his stuff, and I was just like, who is this guy? Why did he follow me? Like why me? You know what I'm saying? Like, and then so like, you know, he DM'd me, I think, or maybe I DM'd him and was just like, yo, bro, appreciate you, da da da, and then he's like, yeah, bro, you know, I really love what you're doing with Rosecrans. And I'm just like, what? Like, people are paying attention to this shit? Because up until that point, I felt like nobody was reading, but I didn't care. I knew where I was. I was still in the building aspect of it. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to skip any steps. So, you know, he brought that up, and then I was actually doing events at the time. And so I'm thinking, like, the way my mind always works is like, how do I bring value to this person? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, he's killing it with the writing stuff. He obviously doesn't need any help there. You know, he's good on social media. I'm like, I'm doing a lot of events. Maybe I can help do an event for him and make it super simple, throw his name and logo on it, and do something dope, right? So I started to like have these conversations with them and be like, yo, like, you know, we should do like an event right now. There's a lot of dope artists in the city. He's like, yeah, bro, I'll be down with that. So we're like brainstorming, you know, artists and lineups and stuff like that back and forth. And, you know, it kind of goes stale or whatever, but, you know, we're on good terms. Yeah. Then I asked him to come in for an interview at my show on Dash Radio, Rosecrans Radio. And then he was like, cool, you know, we did it. Good show. It was awesome. Couldn't finally meeting him. And then as he's walking away, he's just like, hey, you still want to do that show that we were talking about? Yeah. I was like, yeah. And then he was like, yeah, I got an open date in August if you want to do it, like at the Echo, or at the Echo, was it? Yeah, it was the Echo. And then I was like, yeah, let's do it. He's like, all right, yeah, I'll hit you.
And that was
yeah.
Wow, that's
you
crazy.
Know, it was so casual the way it happened. Yeah. But, you know, and you know, I always salute to him for treating me like a partner instead of being like, you know, you're the little homie, you know, this is my shit and you can help me out and I'll take the credit for it. You know what I'm saying? He's never been like that.
Explain what is the difference in that type of treatment that you understand? What's the difference?
I mean, to me, it's just like a certain level of respect, like, you know, that he's never tried to like sun me. Okay. You know what I'm saying? And that's like something that I've always carried on to like people that I try to mentor and stuff. Like, I'll really stay away from the word little homie. I feel like it's kind of, what's the word? Like, it's not insulting. It's just like, you know, somebody might not take that person as serious.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If you call them that, instead of saying like, oh, this is a really talented new media person. You know what I'm saying? When you say this my little homie, you're kind of making it about yourself, right? Instead of like giving this person their own identity. So, you know, he never presented me like that to any of his people. Oh, Vic's dope. You know, he does his own thing. Like, he has this platform and all this stuff. So like, I've always kind of like try to reciprocate that energy with anybody that I see that's upcoming and stuff like that.
I understand that. You know, one time I had listened to a video where Nipsey Hussle, it was like he was about to call the guy Lil Bro. Yeah. But he stopped himself and said, he said like, look, young bro. And I said, okay, I mean, I kind of get it, but it makes more sense now when you break it down like that.
Lil bro can be condescending. Like, I've definitely called somebody lil bro, and I was being condescending about it when I did it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know what I'm doing. It's like words are my thing, you know what I'm saying? So like,
okay, so let me ask you something. Since words are your things, are you a big fan of E40? Because you know how his wordplay is.
I fuck with E40. I wouldn't say I'm like the hugest fan. I'm a fan of his though.
Yeah, but you know he's one of those wordy guys.
Yeah. No, I there's like a lot of different artists that like I break down the lyrics. Like, I mean, obviously like Draco, Benny the Butcher, incredible wordplay, and it doesn't always have to be like complicated. It can be, you know, just the way you say things or the way even you accentuate certain words and stuff like that. Like, you know, it'll be random artists, I'll be like, oh shit, that line was fire. Like that specific line, like again, like the One Take J thing. Even Blueface, you'll be surprised.
Blueface said a whole bunch of stuff, bro.
And you're like, oh shit, no, this connects with this connects with this. Like, you know what I'm saying? When you really break it down, type shit.
Facts. Now, speaking of Draco, you actually reviewed Draco's Cold Devil project for Passion Weiss in 2018, and you credit yourself with being one of the first people to write about Draco. Now, what do you remember? What exactly when you wrote about him, and you guys established a relationship throughout that time. So, what was it like when you first met Draco, and how do you feel? How did you feel about his growth, and then of course his passing?
I think I first met him in 2017 at Rolling Loud in San Bernardino. He was with Shoreline and the Stink Team, and I seen him, and I was just like, oh shit, Draco's here. You know, I want to make sure, say what's up to him, and you know, get a picture and shit like that. You know, so. That was the first time I met him. It was a cool interaction. Nothing negative to take out of it. And then Cold Devil had just dropped, so
that was a sick one too.
Yeah. So maybe like a few weeks later, Jeff asked me to write about Cold Devil. He's like, hey, you want to do Cold Devil? And I was just like, yeah, for sure. So I reviewed it. It was incredible. I loved it. But I didn't necessarily know it was going to be like one of the albums to come out of LA or the West Coast that would be talked about for the next several years. You know what I'm saying?
It's going to be talked about forever. For the rest of our being.
Exactly. and to be like a classic album, you know what I'm saying? Or like, I don't know if Jeff would have chose me. Maybe he would have done it himself. You know what I'm saying? Or I think maybe he wrote about it for like a bigger publication, but I wrote about it for Passion Weiss. So yeah, that was dope. And, you know, I got a lot of like acclaim for it. You know, I didn't really expect that to happen because I had never written anything that went like even remotely viral or anything like that people started just reposting and picking up and, you know, congratulating me for. That was the first time that ever happened. So that was just like, yo, I'm getting recognized for my writing, and I was super proud of what I wrote because took a long time, several drafts. But by the time it was over, I was like, yo, I can look back at the article today and still like that shit. And that's rare as a writer. A lot of times you'll be like, oh, I wish I would have said this or said that. But like, I'll stand on that shit. Like, it's still beautifully written to this day.
So do you find yourself cringing sometime after you write something and look back at it?
You know what? It doesn't really happen that much anymore, thankfully. But if I look past like 2017, you know what I mean? Like, you know, actually, anything 2017. But like after 2018, I think, you know, for the most part, it's been pretty solid, to be honest. Because if it's not good, if I'm not passionate about it, I'm so busy that I don't even write about it. So, you know what I'm saying? So I'm only dropping classics. Okay. You know what I'm saying?
Dropping classics, that's it. Dropping classics. He going platinum, gold, everything. He dropping classics. Now you would actually A&R a song with Bravo the Bag Chaser, Blueface, and Draco, Stay Dangerous. Yeah. Now, what was it like? Explain what it is to A&R for someone who may not understand. And what do you feel like when you A&R a project and it comes out?
So with this particular song, Me and Bravo, you know, have a really close relationship. Shout out my dog. Just performed at the Novo. The day before, so this was, I don't know exactly when it was, but I did a Clubhouse room with Draco. This is like when Clubhouse was still coming out. So this is like, you know, whenever quarantine was and after Draco got out. So we did a Clubhouse room. I believe I hosted it. So we're all asking, you know, questions to Draco, all of us in the room and stuff. I believe I asked him like what artist he's listening to at the moment. I was like curious. And then he's like, oh, I've been listening to this artist, and Bravo the Bag Chaser, he's hard. So I'm like, dope. You know, he's listening to Lil Homie. So, wait, I don't mean like that.
Yeah, he did.
I didn't say Lil Bro though.
He said Lil Homie, but you said you wouldn't say that, bro. Come on.
Look, Bravo is really, so I consider Bravo like, I don't want to say Lil Bro. That's like my little brother.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Genuinely.
That's
like,
the term of endearment,
you know
little brother. There you go.
I've known Bravo since he was 17 years old. I did his first interview. You know, it's all love with him. He used to call me from jail. Like, it's all love with him. Yeah. That was just to clear it up for the people at home. Yeah. No, Bravo knows where we stand. But basically, I was like, you know, that's dope. He's listening to Bravo, and so the next day, Bravo sends me "Stay Dangerous," right? And I'm like, yo, bro, this is your best song ever. Like, this is the best song I've ever heard from you. And he's like, for real? And I'm like, bro, trust me, this is gonna be your biggest song. Told him that when it was just him on there. And then he's like, who do you think I should get on it? And I said, bro, I was just talking to Draco yesterday. He said he listens to you. He said he fucks with you. I said, you should send it to Draco. And then he's like, I was thinking of getting Blueface on it. And I'm like, that would be cool. I was like, but I would get Draco on it. This motherfucker sends me the record the next day with both of them on it.
Wow. Ain't that something?
I was like gonna tell him like, yo, you want me to reach out to Draco or whatever? Like, nah, he gets to it. Like, that's what I love about bro. He works his ass off. You don't have to tell him anything twice. You know what I'm saying? So he sent it over the next day, and I'm just like, oh shit. I'm like listening to it in the car. I'm like, oh yeah, bro, this is gonna be a one. Like, this is your shit. You know what I'm saying? And he did that shit. And it's funny because, you know, he just performed at the Novo. That was the last song he performed. That's his, you know, that's his closing song now. That's his biggest song. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know, with the passing of Draco, you know, R.I.P. Draco, but you know, he said it on stage, R.I.P. Draco. You know, Blueface came out. It was a really dope moment for LA.
I was seeing that on people's stories. So you know, that's just, you know, now you getting involved in the Rolling Loud situation. The most recent Rolling Loud, you spoke about the fact that you were there under your company, like not because you came with somebody else, but this is your company. So during Rolling Loud, you went from booking from booking like Kalen for real, AZ Tyke and these guys to for tiny shows to now interviewing them backstage. So what is that type of moment what does the type of moment mean to you when you come from this platform to this big old platform? What is that like?
Well, I mean, it's always just like a testament of hard work, because as we know, with today's landscape, like, artists can go viral tomorrow, right? Facts. You can discover them today, they go viral tomorrow. And then, you know, then us as media people, we don't necessarily have that same advantage. You know, if we go viral, might not be for a great thing, it might be for something negative, like for our life to change in one minute day, like that, you know what I'm saying? It's not the same as like, we don't have like a hit song type shit that we can just unveil and everybody loves, you know? So, you know, growing with an artist, there is times where a gap can grow because their song blows up and you're still here interviewing, you know, these local artists that this artist was just local yesterday, but now he's not. Now he's, you know, global and shit. So, you know, there can be a gap there, and it's nothing personal with, you know, with anybody, but it's dope to be able to know that, like, you're keeping up. You know what I'm saying? You're not getting left behind. You're working hard enough to make sure that, like, you're in these same rooms, you're in these same environments.
Man, you know talk about that, man. And
that's like a goal, you know what I'm saying? That you're able to, you know, to keep up, because a lot of people get left behind. And they don't know how to navigate, and they start getting salty. Oh, these artists don't talk to me no more. It's like, nah, bro, it's not that. It's they need to spread their wings and move on and speak to other people. But if you're platform rises with them, then you're going to be having these conversations still. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and see, I'm saying that because, all right, so I played for the demos with DJ and Jeezy at Blue Bus.
Okay, yeah.
I believe I was the first person to interview them. I interviewed them downtown at the apartment.
Yeah.
And I remember, I was telling people, like, bro, they really hard. Like, y'all asleep. At that moment, nobody was feeling them.
Yeah, when was this?
This was 2018 or 2019, one of those years. I can show you after the interview.
Yeah.
But after I interviewed them, they just skyrocketed. They just blew the hell up. I'm like, damn, what happened? Like, wow, overnight almost. And the thing is, now I'm in cahoots with the same people they're in cahoots with. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody, but for the most part, we all know about who they are.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. And even like, shout out my guy, One Take Ocho. Me and him went to SMC together. Went two totally different paths.
That's dope.
And now we like in the same circle.
Yeah,
it is
shout
so
out to
crazy.
Ocho, that's dope.
Yeah, facts. Shout out to my bro.
Shout out to Blue Bucks.
Yeah, shout out to Blue Bucks. And it's crazy how that happens, but you know, that's another thing why I say like being respectful to people goes a long way. Because, you know, say me or One Take Ocho disrespecting one another, we see each other, it's not good business now.
Exactly.
He got something to say about me, you know what I'm saying? So you got to be respectful to people, man.
You never know when you're going to see people again.
Exactly. You never know what you might need. So October 2019, Rosecrans Records. This was the first time that you guys posted on Instagram. You would drop a Ride Down Rosecrans, in which Callie said you wasn't there most of the time for. But you know, you spoke about living in the studio for 2 months.
Yeah.
You guys were able to partner up with Empire. Shout out my guy Chris Munoz. Shout out Big Swift. And the distribution aspect of it with Henny and Tequila. Please break all this down to us. And what was it like actually putting this project together?
Man, that was like, when I think back at that time, that was like the most like frustrating and rewarding and difficult like moment of my career, because it was just like, we signed a deal. We got offered a deal by Empire. They, you know, told us, yo, you know, we love what you're doing. You know, they wanted me to go up to the Bay and meet with them, and so I went up and they were like, we love what you're doing. What can we do? How do we work together? And I was like, well, I want a record label. I want a distribution deal. They were like, done. What else? And then I'm just like, shit. So I brought Callie with me, right? Because the opportunity was presented to me, but I'm very much a person that like, I'm gonna share my blessings with the people around me that I believe in as well. I'm not gonna share with just anybody, but like, if I feel like you can help me, we can help each other, like, let's do it. We're already working together. And so I brought Callie with me. Callie like blurts out like, we could do an album. We could have Shoreline, we could have Greedo, we could have everybody on it. And then I'm just like, bro, we didn't talk about this. We didn't say that. We never agreed to this at all, right? And so, but I'm just trying to keep my cool, because you don't want to seem like you're fighting with your partner in front of you know, the people you're having a meeting with.
Yeah, but it's like you getting gut checked.
You want to seem like you're in accord. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't say anything. I'm just like, We get out. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? Like, how are we gonna deliver that? Like, what do you mean we can do that? He's like, bro, we'll figure it out. I'm just like, stressed out immediately, right? Yeah. But I'm like, you know, starting to think about it. I'm like, I guess we could do that. You know what I'm saying? We do have these relationships with these artists. We can turn in like a body of work. And you know, it went from like never putting anything together, no project, no nothing, like, to now we have to turn in an album in 60 days. And so it's just like that whole growing pain that, you know, it has to be fire, it has to have the right amount of artists on it, like the names have to be right, and everything has to sound good. And, you know, it went from like, maybe we're thinking like, like send in some records, you know, and we put them all on a collaboration to be like a mixtape, and then we just kind of were like, you know what, fuck that, we're not gonna take the easy way out. We're gonna start from zero, from no songs, no beats, to create a full project, and we're gonna have like 40, 50 songs to choose from, and we're gonna pick the best like 13, 14.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So we did that. Callie was living in the studio. I was there a lot. I couldn't stay overnight because I had a son. You feel me? Like, I had a lot more.
Disrespect. I didn't mean nothing.
No. But it's funny because he'll always say that. But it was just like, he's like, I'll give it up to Callie. He's a real A&R through and through. Like, he's stay for the whole entire session, beginning to end. He'll make sure that the beat sounds this way, the beat sounds this way. I'm a little different. I'm like, okay, I hear this shit. Okay, let me get it to this person. Let me get it to that person. I think this person will sound good on this. You know, I more like rely on my ear.
That's right.
And and that aspect of it. But again, that's why like we have different skill sets. So that's why we work. That's why we were able to put this project together, and it was so fire, and we could stand on it today and be like, this shit still slaps.
Right, facts.
You know what I'm saying? So like, shout out to Cali. We did our thing. Living in the studio for 2 months, hella miserable. You get fat. You know what I'm saying? You don't work out. You don't get no sleep. You know what I'm saying? You hate yourself. I remember after those 2 months, bro, I hated myself. I'm like, oh my God. Like I lost sleep, money, energy. We went broke making that album. Like everything. It really put us to the test. You know what I'm saying?
But y'all did it.
But we did it. You know what I'm saying? And we're proud of it. It's not something that, because my biggest fear was like making something that I would look back on and not be proud of, because all of this would be for nothing. You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm proud of what we crered.
Yeah. Well, we got to give a big shout out to Cali. He is considered the Swiss Army knife of this shit.
Oh, for sure.
By the words of, is it a Hef 10K?
Yeah.
10. Okay, so by words of Hef 10K. Yeah, man. If you don't know nothing about Cali Shishadi, then you got to learn about the man, because everybody needs a Cali.
He'll be on here next
in their life. Yes, he will. Oh, now let's talk about this. Shout out to my guy Big Swift, because Big Swift is the reason why you guys even met.
Facts.
Now, before I knew that, I was like, I thought that y'all were cousins or something.
Oh, really?
But Big Swift said, yeah, no, I took the time to introduce them. So how was meeting Cali to you? What's your side of it?
So me and Cali went to high school together.
Okay.
We didn't know each other.
Okay.
At all.
Okay.
He knew some people. We had some mutual friends, but I actually ended up falling out with those friends. And he was still their friend. So I kind of considered Cali a op. I was like,
oh, he said Cali was
honestly, I was like, I don't fuck with that crowd. I don't fuck with that crowd of people, right?
Yeah.
I just didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm a very like reserved person. I don't like to have hella friends and all that shit. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, I met Swift. Swift was hella cool, and then Swift was telling me about, yo, you know, you should meet my homie Cali. Like, and I'm like, nah, I'm good. He's like, bro, you should. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I'm like that. I don't know what. Like, I just am. You feel me? So I didn't want to meet him, and then finally, you know, I was like, all right, I'll meet him. So I meet him. You know, we're cool, chilling, whatever. It's all right. Some time goes by. It takes me a while to open up to people. Like, as far as like, I'm not the type of person that's gonna be like best friends with you in a day, in a month. It'll literally, I'll scope people out for like a year and be like, all right, yeah.
But see, I think that's the way in the industry too, though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like industry is a lot different. Like, I feel like industry, if you're beneficial to somebody, they want to be your best friend tomorrow.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But even with that, like, that doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I do build relationships intentionally, but also like, especially at that time, I was just like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know. But, you know, over a period of time, like, you know, I realized that like, yo, Cali's solid ass dude. He does what he says. Like, he's cool. He's chill. You know what I'm saying? And it grew to being like a real brotherhood. Like, I consider him a brother. You know, my son looks at him as an uncle. You know, when he has kids, it's gonna be the same thing. You know, vice versa. So yeah, that's like really my brother. But yeah, Swift really introduced us, because if it wasn't for that, I would have been like, yeah, like y'all, like, what's up, Cali?
Bro's a op.
You know what I mean? Like, like, what's up, bro? Like, being over there, like, me staying to myself. You know
bro, he said it was from an op to a brother. It's possible. It is very possible. For real. He broke that down. Now, okay, now you have always had a relationship with the creator of Fools Gone Wild. And if you don't know who Fools Gone Wild is, all you gotta do is look them up on YouTube. They have went viral a plethora of times. So what is it like, you know, actually watching him create this, and what type of, you know, how proud of you of this movement?
Yeah, so I've never been like close to bro, but we've like, he used to release music back in the day, and I used to cover it because I thought he was a dope MC. So I would, you know, listen to his music, post it, and all this stuff, right? He was actually like close to the homie that I'm closer to, Rossi Rock. Shout out to him, rapper from San Diego. So I was never really like close to Savior, but I did see it like go from nothing to this. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I see the first video, and then it's like start to get some traction, and then I reposted it on Rosecrans page, and then all of a sudden, like, you just see it turn into like this behemoth and branding, and they just released a beer. And shout out my guy Chase. I had like lunch with him the other day, and we were just chopping it up about you know, the growth of it and the direction of it. And I just love that, like, as Hispanics, like, we have like I guess like our own version of like World Star. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's a dope thing to have a central location for people to understand like our culture to an extent. You know what I'm saying? You see like Lupe Fiasco commenting, you see Pusha T commenting. It's like where people can go and be like, oh, okay, this is that culture, and you don't need to like necessarily break it down to somebody. they can be entertained as they learn about it. You know what I'm saying?
100%. Brown Bag Podcast.
Yep.
Okay.
Shout out Brown Bag. Shout out Letty. Shout out Duno.
Congratulations on the 1 million views. Okay, I'm only at 30,000, so you know,
hey, bro,
I'm getting closer.
That's only 970,000 to go.
Sound like forever, man.
It won't be though.
We on the way.
Yeah.
We on the way. The marathon continues.
Yeah.
Now, the first time we would see Brown Bag Podcast was June 14th, 2021.
Yep.
Okay. Now, shout out to Charlemagne, the God of the Breakfast Club, shouting you guys out. What is it like putting this project together with Duno and Letty? Because you also had to build a relationship with both of them through however much time you had to do that. Now, what is it like building this platform, and how do you feel knowing that you have a platform that, you know, kind of came from something in the past, from the Mad Lately and things like that? So how do you feel about Brown Bag Podcast?
Man, I love Brown Bag Podcast. I look forward to it, you know, every Tuesday when we record. We have such a dope team. Shout out to the whole team. Shout out to Maximo. Shout out to Josh. Shout out to Juan. Shout out to Jose. Shout out to Ron. Shout out to Angie.
Football team.
Yeah, no, and that's what it takes. And that's what it takes. You know, honestly, like, it's a real dope, cohesive team that we all have love and respect for each other, and it already feels like family. And it's only been like 7 months. You know what I'm saying? And my relationship with Duno and Letty is grown, and you know, we respect and appreciate each other, and you know, hear each other's ideas out, and we all play like a different role in what we do, but like we always come to an agreement. It's just hella dope to like have something that, you know, people really listen to, really watch. You know, people DM me and like, yo, the Brown Bag gets me through hard times, and this brightens up my day. I wait for it every day it releases and stuff like that. Like, it's dope to finally have something to like contribute to the culture. Is like, I'm a big listener of podcasts, and I've always been trying to get it right. And I feel like I finally got to this place where I got it right, and I can put my podcast against anybody else's and feel confident that like we're on that same level. You know what I'm saying? Our production level is up there, our content is up there, our social media is up there. And you know, people are taking notice. Like, shout out to Charlemagne the God. It still trips me out to think that he watches anything I do, because I've been an avid like listener of his, reader of his book, watcher of the Breakfast Club for years, since before I wanted to do anything media related. You know what I'm saying? And I remember driving to my job in Irvine at the time, listening to the podcast with you know, the Brilliant Idiots podcast, when they had Letty on as a special guest, and just being like, oh man, I love this show. Like, and then I'm like, all right, time to clock into this shithole. You know what I'm saying? Like,
oh my gosh,
you know what I mean? And then to like look back on that now and be like, yo, what the fuck? Like, how crazy is life? Like, where God will put you. You know what I'm saying? Like, after you know, all the hard works and the sacrifices that you made, that you'll end up in some place that you'll never have dreamed of sometimes. You know what I'm saying?
Glory to God, for real.
Absolutely.
For real. Now, what is something that people may not know about Brown Bag Podcast that you can share? That it could be something funny about it. It could be something serious. But what is something that you feel makes Brown Bag behind the scenes so unique?
We really enjoy hanging out. Like, we've done hella things outside of the podcast where we don't record or anything, and we'll literally, like, if you guys can see like off camera what we do, it's just as funny as on camera. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes I'll be like, damn, where's the camera guy? Where are we recording this? Like, it'll just be a regular scenario, and we have this like certain dynamic. You know what I'm saying? So it's not one of those like acts for the camera that we're like,
and then y'all go home.
We do it and be like, like, all right, get the fuck out of my way. It's nothing like that. It's really dope. It's fun. Like, our live show was incredible.
Man,
you know, selling that out.
It was a beautiful thing.
And stuff like that. We just love being around each other. You know, we all, you know, appreciate our energy. Letty invites us over her beautiful home all the time. We go kick it. You know, bring the kids around. Stuff like that. It's really dope. It's really dope. Like I said, it's like it's a new family that I've found and, you know, really admire and love and appreciate.
Now, explain this dance. Okay, where did this dance come from? Because this is an iconic dance here.
The bunny hop.
Yeah, where did this dance come from, man?
You know what's funny is so Kalen did like a triller before Scoring came out, and it seemed like he was like jumping, but he didn't really jump, and he had a bunch of homies around, and I'm like, oh, that's funny, you know what I'm saying? Like that's dope. Like he kept seeming like he was gonna jump, and then he didn't jump. Like, and then so I kind of like remixed it in my own way, and like when that song came on, like it just get me hyped. That was like my favorite song for like a very long time. I mean, till this day, I really love that song. Yeah. So you know, when I'm drunk, like you know. Like to dance, you feel me?
Like, wait, is it the tequila? Is it the vodka?
It's the tequila.
Okay, it's the tequila, okay.
Yeah. So whenever, you know, like I did it maybe like one time and you know, somebody recorded me doing it and then they were just laughing and shit like, oh, what? Like, that's hilarious. And, you know, it just grows and people see it on social media and then, they, you know, yo, do the Vic dance, like, da-da-da. And it's just become a thing, and it kind of got like, you know, more immortalized like at the podcast where they were just like, come on, do it. I didn't want to do it. They played the music and I was like, fuck, you guys gonna put me on the spot? And I'm not the type to like, you know, back down from a moment and be like, no, you know.
Yeah, I see you was kind of hesitant though.
That live show. Like, you know, because whatever, it's a lot of people and shit, but at the same time, it's like I want to entertain, you know, the people that came out there, and I want to give them a good time, you know. I don't mind making fun of myself, you know what I'm saying? I feel like you have to.
You got to be able to laugh at yourself.
You have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to be able to be open to, you know, to people, you know, having fun at your expense. And it's all in good fun. You know, it's nothing like negative. So I don't know. It just kind of came from there. And now it's like my signature and people want me to do it all the time.
Everywhere. $1 Million Dance. No, soon he's gonna come out with the Rosecrans Vic Dance Challenge. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
And then we're gonna make it an NFT.
Oh yeah.
And then,
that's gonna be dope.
You know, we're gonna put it on the metaverse, and you're gonna see me bunny hopping across Rosecrans AVE in the metaverse. You know what I'm saying? So like.
Wait, seriously, for real? This ain't no joke.
I just made it up right now.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to manifest it then. We're going to manifest it.
Why not?
The NFT coming soon. You heard it on Clapitup LA first. You hear me now. The NFT, I got to put this on Instagram because we're going to make sure this happens. Now, when you took, during the middle of the show, were you able to take it all in? Because, you had, you can tell the support is there. Mm-hmm. So was there a moment that you were able to actually take it all in and think to yourself like, wow, this is where we're at now?
At the live show?
Yeah.
Man, seeing how many people were there when we walked in, all those people waiting for us. Like, I've thrown hella shows, right? I've thrown hella like live events, but it's always like I'm producing them. I don't even like to host my own events, really. I'll hire somebody else to host it, and I'll curate the lineup, I'll curate the experience, and get out the way, because it's not about me, it's about the artist, right? Yeah. This was the first time I ever threw an event that was like, it was about me. And it was like strange. Like I was like, all these people are not here to see the artist, they're not here to see the DJ, they're here to see me and my co-host. And I was just like, this is weird. That was something I'm not used to, and I was nervous, to be honest. I was very nervous when we first were on stage. I damn near didn't say anything, and then I had to like snap myself out of it and be like, no, you know what? People came to see a show, you need to perform, you know what I'm saying? So like, from there, I was just like, all right, I got in my bag, started being myself, started carrying on the live podcast like I would if no one was around. And then from there, we just did our thing. And after, taking pictures with everybody, chopping it up and stuff like that, for the next day, immediately after, and then the next day or two, like I was literally on a high.
On a high.
I was on a high, man. I was on a super high, bro. Like naturally, you know what I'm saying? I was just like, wow, that was amazing. I can't wait to do it again.
Wow, it's crazy because you said that you were nervous, and that's the part that we didn't see. But that's the part that you don't know. But I was nervous as hell waiting on you to come. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting more and more nervous now. You know what I'm saying? My nerves got bad. That's what made it worse. I was in such a great mood, listening to the music, was in the zone. Then you came late. I'm like, it's taking my energy away. But being nervous is a part of the game. You know what I'm saying? That's something that just comes with it. But for the most part, I think a lot of people feel that nervousness and they think, oh, I shouldn't do this now. Now I should walk away. But no, that's where you step in on yourself and step up and do it anyway. So you've been going to Dodger Stadium for a long time. You said more than 50 visits, right? Yeah. But on July 20th, this was like a day where things changed, where more and more people were recognizing you. I saw Duno put a video up where like it was just kind of like people around y'all and they were shouting and things like that. Yeah. So what was it like actually walking into Dodger Stadium, which is like your second home? You know what I'm saying? And people recognizing you for what you do in Brown Bag Podcast.
That was crazy because I've been going to Dodger Stadium since I was like 4 or 5 years old. As long as I can remember, and just going there, my happy place. I love baseball. That was like my first love. I played, baseball all through, elementary, middle school, and everything, high school, and You know, Dodgers, my favorite team. And so going there with my brown bag team, this was only like 4 episodes in, I want to say. Yeah. Literally only did 4 episodes, and then people shouting us out, brown bag, brown bag, oh shit, it's you guys. That was insane to me. Still, like, when, you know, it's happening a lot more often now, but that was specifically like the first time we got recognized as a podcast together. And it was just an amazing feeling, you know what I'm saying? It was something I was just like very, very grateful for.
I feel that, you know, and shoot, anyway, you earned that at the end of the day. Now, you had a Shoe Palace collab with the Hispanic Heritage Month. How did it feel to come together to that, and what did that mean to you to be able to do that for your people?
That was super dope. Shout out to Maximo. He lined that up for us, and, you know, he said, hey, I want to, you know, connect you guys with my people from Shoe Palace, and let's do this thing. And he actually got offered the gig, and then he shared it with us, and then we were like working together after that. And he's our producer / you know, anything else we need him to do now. And
okay, with Brown Bag?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
cool.
You know, shout out to him, because he really did that, and that was just crazy. Like seeing our photo like at the top of, like, you go to shoepalace.com in whatever, what's Hispanic? When is that? September, October?
I don't even know, man.
It was. Yeah, I think it was during October. And just seeing like our photos up there, it's just like, wow, it's a trip.
Amazing, you know amazing. Yeah. Now, your first show at the Roxy was Swifty Blue times Rosecrans AVE.
Yep.
What was it like seeing the name up there? You know, knowing that this is the show for something that you guys put together.
Legendary, legendary, because
shout out Swifty Blue.
Shout out to Swifty Blue. If people don't know, it's like, we're from the same section of LA, as far as like we rep the 562. So as far as I know, you know, nobody from our section has had a headlining show at the Roxy, which is a legendary venue that, you know, rock artists and, you know, heavy metal bands and rappers have been doing shows at for forever in LA and West Hollywood. And to have like our section there, and we're doing it together, and we're bringing other artists out from, you know, the 562 / Southeast Los Angeles area, it was just like, it was so legendary to us. Like, you know, we just put a stamp on this shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. We made some history with that. Yeah, that was dope. Yeah. And shout out to the Roxy, shout out to Swifty Blue, shout out to everybody involved. It was dope. Facts.
If you're an artist in LA, it's like you kind of got to go through the Roxy as you climb up the ladder.
Exactly.
Like, you have to go through the Roxy.
Yep.
So now you dropped you did a Jenny 69 article for Taco LA, which kind of came with some controversy. People, I saw the comments. You was like, come on, chill. Like I said, I didn't like the song, things like that.
Yeah.
So what was it like being a part of that, and how did you feel about, you know, the response to that?
It was cool. It was cool. It was shout out to Javier, my editor over there. He hit me up and he's like, hey, do you want to write about this Jenny 69 thing? And I was just like, yeah, sure, I'll give it a crack. And so, you know, I wrote it, and, you know, again, like, I'm like a word nerd, so like I wanted to make it so that like it was up for debate of like people. It was funny, people were in my comments saying, wow, I can't believe you like that song. Other people are like, you're such a hater. And I'm like, how can I be both? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
oxymoron.
Yeah, literally. So I'm like, but that's awesome, because at the end of the day, people read it. People took away from it what they wanted to take away. But in reality, like, it was up in the air. And I said exactly what I said. I didn't hate on her. I said, you know, yes, this is a terrible song, probably the worst song I've heard all year. But at the same time, what did your first song sound like?
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and I think we're being overcritical of her because she is a woman. And people just feel a little more comfortable, you know, telling a woman that her work is trash. And that kind of, I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? So it was just like, that was kind of my position on it. Didn't say anything like, it's like saying that, oh, this is a great song, you should listen to it. I just set it up to where this is who she is, this is what she did, and if you guys like the song, listen to it. If you don't, cool. I don't think it's a great song, but I think, you know, she has potential to do something better in the future.
Okay, I feel
that was just kind of like my whole stance on
that article kind of went around like a wildfire to me. I kind of seen it everywhere. You know, I seen everybody talking about it. But you know, we all have those moments. So now we got to give it up and congratulations on releasing the first song through your Rosecrans Vic distribution label. Shout out to Duno and Jakarta Slim, the song My Brothers. So how long had this been on the work, and how long had Rosecrans, the Rosecrans Vic distribution label been around?
It's been around since October. Okay. I just never did anything with it. Shout out to Vidya, the deal is through them. I met with them and met with Liz over there. She's hella cool, and we just started to chop it up, and then I was helping her with some things on the publicity side, and then she was like, I was telling her that I had a distribution deal with Empire as well, and she was like, oh, would you want to do a distribution deal with us? And I was just like, sure. You know what I'm saying? They made it really easy and simple. And so I signed up, and then it was inactive because I didn't really have anything to do for it. But Duno and Jakarta had this song that I liked, and I was like, hey, let's put it out through my platform. And they were down with it. And I like the video platform, like the back end of everything, just how you release the music and how things are delivered. It was really seamless and smooth. So I think I'm gonna start using them a lot more. And going forward with that, and it's cool, to have thing at the bottom says like Rosecrans Vic.
Yeah, I'm already knowing. That's something huge. Yeah. And Jakarta has a voice. He has like a special voice. He has a musical voice. So he does his thing on any and every song that you put him on. So shout out to that. So now I got to ask you, when you think about everything that you've been through in your life and where you stand today, what is it that Rosecrans Vic claps it up for?
For consistency. Okay. Consistency and perseverance. Because it's like, anybody can find an excuse to stop.
For sure.
But you can also jump over all these hurdles and get faster and stronger and better. You know what I'm saying? And the more obstacles you find a way to get around, like the more prepared you are.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So like, I'm just happy that I've never stopped doing what I'm doing, and just kept going and keep rising and finding ways to elevate. Like this whole year is about elevation for me, and I've been very intentional with everything I've been doing. I've been, editing these interviews. I have like a lot of content dropping this week, which by the time this airs, it might be next week, but it's a lot of dope shit that I've just been taking a lot of attention to detail with everything I've been doing. And it's like I'm showing people, my interviews and stuff, and you guys will see it. A Nico G4 interview dropping.
Shout out to Nico G4, yeah.
Rosecrans of Fairfax, and then I have a Bompton of Calabasas episode with Wally the Sensei.
And that was fly, and shout out to Cali again, because that was the van. That was fly.
The Sprinter. Yeah. So I have these two really like dope pieces of content that are dropping, and I'm showing them to people, and they're like, bro, wow, like this is like MTV type shit, and I'm like, I'm telling you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but it's taken weeks and months and preparation, and then editing on the back end and sending notes back and forth to the editor, and time and money. But it's like, no, like you guys are gonna see, you know what I'm saying? Like there's not gonna be a better person producing video content on the West Coast.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's respectfully to everybody. It's just that I'm focusing on that aspect of it, and I know like what the product is, and I know where I'm gonna take it. You know what I'm saying? Right, so it's like I'm getting to that point, and people are gonna be like, oh shit, like I seen Vic do some cool things, but this is like raising the bar.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Well, you've earned all of that. Now, last but not least, I got to ask you. I want everybody to manifest something on here.
Yeah.
So rather it's something that happened this year, next year, or something that just has to happen in your life.
Yeah.
What is it that you can manifest? What's something that right now that you want to manifest right here? And when it happens, I'm gonna play the clip. So manifest it.
That's easy. That's us getting the deal with the brown bag, securing a deal with like a digital service platform, DSP. You know what I'm saying? So whether that be Spotify, whether that be Apple Music, whether that be Shade 45, or not Shade 45, sorry, Sirius, whether it be any of those, like that's what I'm manifesting. I've been saying it for like past few months. Like I know that deal is coming at some point. We're just building up the value and the equity and stuff like that. So right. I'm manifesting that. It's happening.
Right. That's what
you know what I'm saying.
We're gonna manifest now. You know what I'm saying?
For some M's. You heard?
M's. You know what I'm saying? Straight like that, right there. Now
buying the building.
Vic a cold cat, man. But good luck to that.
Yeah.
It's your boy J.Brock, Clap It Up LA with my guy Rosecrans Vic. The full video, I don't even have to announce that. It's gonna be coming out. But anything else you want to leave? Shout out anything you want to tell us about happening next year or this year?
Nah, just shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate you. Yeah, appreciate you, man.
Keep doing your thing.
Y'all don't know what I've been through to get this interview. But, no, I'm just playing. But yeah, for sure. Full interview coming soon. Your boy J.Brock, Clap It Up LA. We out.
Yeah.